Welcome back to Backroomconvo. I'm your host at the most, Lesego M, Deobra Redden, aka judicial, and maybe you might get a chance to call me Daddy like Calvo. Listen, if you are a fan of sports, stay tuned because you might like what we're cooking. On today's episode, well, it's not today because it's like the second segment of like the second part of like today's episode, of which the first one was like the morning episode that we released. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah. So to start with, I'd really like to, give a shout out to Keke Plamer. For those of you who don't know who Keke Plamer, just go Google the Golden Globes or the Emmys that took place on Saturday in downtown Los Angeles. So Keke Plamer is like the first female in 15 years to win an Emmy award for a game show. So shout out to Keke Plamer for that. So for those of you who haven't followed, subscribe, please do that. Go and subscribe, follow, and rate the show to get a notification for each and every time we drop a new episode. So yeah, man, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Keke Plamer. So she's the first woman in 15 years to win an Emmy award for best game show host on Password. So shout out to her, man. That's huge. I know she's been grinding. We've been seeing a lot of like negative stuff about Keke Plamer. The husband dragging her on social media rather. So there's been a lot of like things like drama going on in her life. For her to like catch a break with this award, it's huge. Like an Emmy, it's no child's play. To get an Emmy is a huge achievement. So like alongside people like John Legend who have like the Golden Globes, the Oscar, the Emmy, you name them, like there's just a few artists or like a few individuals who have like the whole of these awards that really mean something. Like the Golden Globes, the Oscars, as I mentioned, the Emmy is part of that as well. What else am I? The Tony Award. So like there's a few people who actually have like the complete package of those awards. So like for Keke Plamer, I think this is the first of many, and I just wish her all the best. And I know like there's like some Keke Plamer fans that listen to the podcast. If there is, I don't know. So if there is any Keke Plamer fan, shout out to you, man, and shout out to you for showing your support on the game show. I don't know, like I've never heard of the game show. Like I'm still trying to think whether or not I've seen or heard about the game show, but I don't think I've heard of the game show. So, but I'll just give it a look or just check it out to see if it's something I might be interested. So for those of you who do like watch this, please do let me know in the comment section if this is like a game show. Is it like the show that Steve Harvey had on television? You remember like there was a time when Steve Harvey was doing a show. I don't remember the name of the show, like, but is it like on those lines? Please do let me know in the comment section. And before we speak about a lot of things, I'd like to really like give you a song of the day, or like a song of the day, or song of the hour, or song of the episode. So the song of this episode is Sosh Plata, the remix. So it featured a lot of people. It featured like 4 artists, if I'm not mistaken. It featured that 25K. It featured 25K Tapelo. It featured Tapelo, 25K, and that guy L Pound, and these are like the guys from PTA. So shout out to them. So the song, I almost said the album. So the song was released in 2022, but it still slaps. I know it was trending a lot in like TikTok back then. I say back then, like time is gone. 2022 seems like it was yesterday, but it wasn't. So yeah. How's your day? How did you spend your day? I know like a lot of you are commuting back home, work 9 to 5, tired. I just hope that everything that we talk about in this hour will help you, ease your day. I know if you had a bad day, man, you're so sorry for that, man. Tomorrow will be a better one. Just wake up and go back to pushing. So back to the song. The song that I was talking about, which is Sosh Plata, the remix. It featured people like 25K. The song was released 2022. Sosh Plata. So this is the remix. I'm not sure about the timeline of like the original without the 25Ks and all the guys who hopped onto it. I know even Boytik at some point hopped on the remix, or she freestyled to it. I'm not really sure. So the song is 3 minutes 58 seconds long. For those of you who are wondering, So the remix currently sits at 4.7 million on Spotify alone. That's a huge achievement for the guys, And I think before I move on to like speak about what I'm supposed to talk about today, what I'm intended to talk about today, I'd like to talk about like branding, before we move on. I know, like, just give me a few seconds. Like branding, like these guys, we know the song 25, we know the song, like we do also know 25K. I'm saying with like the guys, like the originators of the song, or the 95% authors of the song, which is like the L Pounds and Tabelo. I think Tabelo is the name. Those guys, I think they also need to look into like branding, like work on their brand as well, because now you only know 25K, and a lot of people assume they think the song is actually 25K song alone, but they don't know 25 was actually featured on the remix and not like the original artist on the song doesn't belong to him. So a lot of people didn't get that, and like to stay relevant to people, to know you, and like to be relevant, to get gigs or to familiarize yourself within the industry, I think it's proper for them to go through a media run where they visit your podcast, your media outlets, so people know who Tapelo is, who L Pounds is, because not a lot of people know about these guys. So this is just me putting it out in the universe. I know like there's a couple of people like specific, I know like for sure there's people that listen to the podcast who are like in management, people who are artist managers. Shout out to Deobra, shout out to famous in era. Those are like some of like the artists that are doing great out there, so shout out to them. So there's a couple of people who are artists. Shout out to people like Boiti, Tepadia, the Drama. So there's a few individuals who are part of like the community or this podcast that actually are within the music space. So I'm just putting it out there. If they know how to connect, I think if those guys know of Fat or MG, like link up and like like speak about branding. It's not always about music. You need to also like focus on the business element or the business side of things even, So yeah, you remember, I think this is the time that I need to talk about like today's content, what I'm intended to talk about today. So this hour, like when you release 2 episodes a day, like it gets a bit confusing. This is one of those where I'm like, today where I'm supposed to say an hour, the segment, So, but nonetheless, so you remember there was a clip in social media of a guy who jumped into like the judge's chambers. Like, is it chambers or? Yeah, I think it's chambers where like the judges, where when you're in court, like there's that thing, the judge, where the judges sit, and when back whenever they reach a conviction, or is it a conviction or like, yeah, it's a conviction. 19 felonies and no conviction, that's Keke. So that I just use that to think of that word conviction. So yeah, so that guy, is it Deobra? Is it he? Deobra? Dio. Yeah, they call him Dio. I think they call him Dio, who jumped into like the judge's podium and started hitting the judge after being handed out a sentence, or like, was it he being handed out a sentence at the time? Yeah, he was about to give that guy sentencing, So they gave him an additional, like today came news of that, because a lot of us were wondering what's gonna happen after like he does that, like, and for the sake of it, I was also like listening or watching some of the comments in there. There's like, oh, okay, people were like, it's a good thing that he did that on a public platform where there's cameras and so he go on for a long time, right? So the reason that's a good thing is because if he is able to jump at a moment like that in a public platform, do you think it's the first time he does that? So like that was something that was on, like the discussion, and people were talking about this. So this is what he got for jumping the judge started chasing her, So the guy's name is Deobra Redden. They hit him with like 6 additional felonies after leaping at the judge during sentencing. Also reportedly facing 7 battery charges. So for those of you who don't know what battery charges, I'm going to read this out for you what battery charges are. So battery charges are, according to the Code of Federal Regulation, CFR, battery charge means a device that charges batteries for consumer. This is not the one. So I think this is the one. The battery is the definition of an American common law as any unlawful doing or unwanted or touching of a person in an aggressive manner. Yeah, okay. So I'll just read it out loud so it makes sense, because I was just reading it to myself. So battery is a definition of an American common law known for unlawful doing or unwanted behavior, such as touching of a person in an aggressive manner or by substance put in motion. So I think that's the definition. For those of you who didn't get, can you please go into Google and look that up? So he got like an additional of 7 battery charges. I don't know how many years those are. So I'll just Google it because now I'm here. So I'll just Google it up for you. 7 batteries, 7. So I'll just Google it out, and maybe tomorrow we'll just get to talk about it more. But yeah, that happened. I was like, wow, that's a good thing that happened. That's a good thing. And upon like just scrolling on the internet, I saw something again. Taraji and Oprah, the color purple, and they were doing like a promo, and Oprah was interviewing Taraji, and Taraji is Taraji, so she was just speaking on her role and how she picks her role, and he was doing the entire 9-year Taraji, the press release that she does in every press release. But this is what I do. This is how I pick up. She was going through that with Oprah. But as I said before, on some of the not the interviews, on some of the episodes that we've had, I said I feel like Taraji's energy is not in the right place, even though she is trying so hard to hide it from the public or to the fans or to whoever was looking at that saga or situation with Oprah, and she was like, nah, she's trying to defend, but her energy says something else. Even on the interview, you could actually tell. And even for someone like myself, it was very hard for me to consume that, knowing what's going on behind the scenes. And given that she's been, she was saying something late last year, December, she was saying something about being underpaid, women in Hollywood being underpaid. Shout out to Olivia Spencer, shout out to Viola Davis, shout out to Halle Berry, who's also showing support to this. A lot of people were speaking up against this in Hollywood. So, seeing this and seeing that another black woman is doing this to another black woman, okay. And someone else is also being accused. This is something that I didn't know, and it's not on script. So this is off script. So Ice Cube is one of the guys they say he is underpaying actors, So, and I see this because Keke was saying that, and he was defending Ice Cube to say, no, Cube is not like those guys, but he's not underpaying actors. I come in this defense. And I was like, whoa, so there was that Ice Cube thing that he's underpaying, So, because I understand Cube has been in conversation with some of the actors that were on the movie Friday. For those of you who haven't checked it out, please go do it. And if we speak on people Debo is no longer alive, he passed away, may his soul rest in peace. And I'm like, who's gonna play Debo? Who's gonna play this, that? I'm like, oh well, I just have to wait and see to actually see who plays who. Even Michael Blackson also spoke on it to say there's been talks about the Friday movie. I think even Ice Cube came when he was talking about the Keke situation. He also mentioned something about Friday. I was like, oh, this is something that's actually being put in motion. It's good to see, So I think that alone for me, it was like, oh, okay, like how many? And to talk about like Tyler Perry, like people like Tyler Perry, he's one of like those people. I'm so sorry for the phenomenon. So Tyler Perry is one of the few people in Hollywood. Is ATL a part of Hollywood? I don't know. You let me know in the comment section. ATL is Atlanta. Like, for those of you who know it, Tyler Perry built a studio in Atlanta, you know. So I don't know if those movies that Madea, those movies that he do, are they a part of like the Hollywood, you know, Shandy's? Like, can you talk about it? Please enlighten me in the comment section. So they were saying Taraji was being paid 100, like a standard fee of 150K in Hollywood, which is a lot for an actor like Taraji. So they were saying at some point, I think on A Diary of a Made Black Woman, or is it A Diary of a Made Black Woman? Yeah, I think A Diary of a Made Black Woman. Yeah, one of the movies, 50 Shades. Which movie was Taraji a part of? Which was a part of like the entire like Tyler Perry production. That movie, she was given something like 500K, $500,000 if I'm not mistaken. And I was like, oh, it's not bad, but it's still less given the Taraji. Like people like, I want to reference someone. They were quoting, I don't remember his name, but I know he's a guy who were paying him something like 10 million for that movie. The same movie that Taraji was a part of, and they offered her $500,000. And I was like, they're giving him 10 million and they're giving Taraji, and Taraji's like the center of this, and she's still getting less. I was like, this is crazy, you know, this is crazy. But yeah, you do let me know in the comment section what you think about like women being underpaid in Hollywood or in many industries. We also face that like when in soccer worldwide, women are saying they're being underpaid. You know, like, do you think now it's the right time to have that conversation? Do let me know in the comment section what you think, you know. And after the break, I know we're supposed to talk about the Lost Boys of Bed Island. I know we're supposed to talk about that. A lot of stories. So when we come back, we're going to talk about it. The song of the day is Fosh Flats are currently sitting at 4.7 million on Spotify. And let's meet after the break. I'm your host with the most, the Suffer M Dead Report. Let's meet after the break. Cheers. Welcome back from the break. You know, we just had a wonderful break now. So before we went on the break, we were talking about Taraji and, you know, women being underpaid and Hollywood and Tyler Perry and Ice Cube and Kate William and how he comes into the mix and how we should be talking about a lot of these things that are happening in different industries. And it takes artists like Taraji to speak up, and, you know, and when they speak up, there comes a conversation with, oh, it's not actually Hollywood, but in football as well, in, you know, mining as well, in that department, you know, entertainment, you know, like, I think that is a good place to start with. Like, bigger artists are speaking out to say, we also like going through this, we are being underpaid as big as we are, and something has to be done about it, you know. So I think it's good that there's a conversation that's going on globally. And, you know, for people who just joined us now, the song of the day is Sosh Plata, which was released 2022, and the song currently sits at 4.7 million on Spotify and all. So yeah, that's what we were talking about before the break. So moving on, the Taraji thing, I want to talk about the stunning women. So they released the list of like the girls 40 over 40 girls, well, not girls but women, you know, the stunning women 40 over 40. I'll give you some of the few and you let me know what you think. Bro, like, these women are stunning, and I'm like, with like my generation, right? Like, I'll talk about my generation, and I'm like these kids look so old. I don't even think they'll get to a point where they look like, you know, Jennifer Hudson or Taraji P. Henson. Taraji is a part of the conversation, okay? And for those of you who don't know, like, Taraji looks good for being 51 years old. she looks good. And people like Jennifer Hudson, she's 42 years of age, bro. Like, she looks fantastic. And tell me if you disagree. You know, like, Gabrielle Union is 51. I found that out to believe. I was like, if she's old, she's like the same age as Drake, like 53, 36, I meant to say 36, 37, bro. She's 51 years. What do they eat, bro? Like, what do they eat? You know, the lady that everybody has been talking about in hip-hop, Nia Long, she's 53 years old. Nia Long is 53 years old. Like, she's old enough to be J. Cole's mom. And the reason I say J. Cole's mom, because in one of the songs, J. Cole, he was speaking about, you know, I was too young for Miss Leah Bonet, or I was too, my heart couldn't take a Leah home. That song. I'm thinking of the song. That's why I'm mumbling. I'm so sorry for that. I'm trying to remember the words. But, you know, so Sana Latana is 52 years. She looks stunning even. You know, like, someone who doesn't age, bro. Like, even now, still, like, feel good. Like, Meagan Good, bro. Like, Meagan Good is 42 years of age. You know, she's 42 years of age. And I'm like, how old is Rihanna? Because in my mind, like, Meagan Good is supposed to be the same age as Rihanna. You know, like, to me, it makes sense. Rihanna is the same age as Meagan Good. It can't be that Meagan Good is this old and still look like, bro, like, Rihanna is 35 years this year, bro. Like, what? 85 years. She was born in February, the 20th of February 1988, which is like, you know, 35 years. Meagan Good is older than Rihanna, dog. Like, what? Oh, so yeah, man, and she still doesn't have kids, man. I don't know if that was a part of the plan for her to not have kids, but, you know, I would have wished to by this age, if you're a woman, you have kids, you know. But she's dating a guy by the name of Jonathan Regis, who we also have to talk about him in this episode again, because of, like, the verdict that was reached at court. So we'll also talk about that, and it's a good thing that this got to remind that this reminded me. What am I saying? This reminded me. So, like, Eve is 45 years. Eve, well, yeah, you can tell, because it was with, like, you remember Triple X, not Triple X, you know, DMX, Triple X, DMX. DMX was old, bro, when they were doing that Watch Hot Riders. There was a movie that they did together, like the Watch Hot Riders. I forgot the name of the movie. So they did that movie together. He was in there, like, yeah. So Jenny May, I think she's not really that famous though, but I've never seen her young, so, but she still looks good. She's fine. Brandy is 44 years. She looks 35. You could say she looks 35. You know, she looks 35. Even, like, we can talk about the Destiny's Child. Beyoncé is 42 years of age, and all the, like, it's surprising. Everybody is like the same age. Everybody's the same age. You know, it's surprising. The Destiny's. You saw that other lady at the end, who was like 44 years. I forgot her name as well, but even I remember. Make sure to let you know. So Regina Hall is 53. What? Regina Hall is 53. Like, how? Wait, how 53? How old? Like, Real Housewives of Hollywood. When was it released? I think it was released 3 years ago, which would make not Nia Long, but Regina Hall 50 years of age. How old is Kevin Hart? You know, like, you know, Kevin Hart. How old is Kevin? Kevin shouldn't be. She's even older than Kevin Hart, bro. Like, she's Kevin Hart's sister, bro. Like, even Nick Cannon, bro. Like, they were in the same movie. You know, Hollywood, the Real Husbands of Hollywood. She's even older than Nick Cannon, bro. What? But you won't tell, because they take care. They take good care of themselves. And there's one lady in particular for me, you know, Regina King is also like, oh, but Regina King, you can tell she's a mom. She has the mom figure to it. But this one lady, I'll tell you, like Tracy Ross. What? Guys, let's talk about Tracy Ross. I'm looking at the picture of Tracy Ross now. She's 51 years of age. She looks like she's 29 years of age. What? Like, bro, like, I don't know if this specific picture, that maybe he did makeup, but bro, no, there's no BBLs here. There's no surgery, zero. So they look good, man. And I just thought I should talk about it and celebrate these women. So yeah, this is good that we spoke about that. So now I want us to speak about the Lost Boys of Bed Island. So for those of you who've been waiting for the story of Lost Boys, the Lost Boys. So if you know the story of Jeffrey, the Epstein Island and what's going on with that, you'd know, Buti, there's just a lot going on, there's just a lot going on. So apparently, if you know the Jeffrey Epstein Island, and the reason I'm referencing the Jeffrey Epstein Island, it's because we also have the same island here in Africa, in Northern Africa, in South Africa, where, but back in the day, I don't know if it's still active, because now I just took this and it was pointed or highlighted as like, this may be a good content, this is good content to talk about, and like, let's talk around it. And yeah, because like a lot of people are disputing or saying, but no, it's not. And like, there's a lot, people get paid with these things. I know, but people get paid, so you can never know. But if the sister of the guy who wrote this book said, whatever happens to me, just know it's not me who did it to myself. There's people who did it to me. That's the last word of Mark. Mark Meany is the writer of the book alongside Chris Dane. So Mark Meany died after releasing this book. A while after releasing this book, then he passed on. And according to reports that came out, it was, I don't know if it was natural death or he killed himself, but that happened. And on the book, they actually revealed the pedophilia actually happened, and there was ministers. Like, this is like when the National Party was still active, like the apartheid government was still active then. So it implicated a huge, or like a portion of very powerful individuals, and that's what you get, when you talk about such powerful figures within that book. Obviously you get erased. And one of the highlights that I think we need to talk about with this book is that I realized, I tried to download here and it says the book was withdrawn given the defamation. Media 24 has apologized for the publication of the defamatory statement regarding Mr. Bernard du Plessis in the book of the Lost Boys of Bed Island. So like, a lot of people are being sued, a lot of action is being taken against anyone who speaks on this, or who's against this, or who wants to explore the possibilities that whatever that's being said in that book might be true. Like, if a defamatory statement was, they had to apologize. This is like a media house. Media 24 is a bigger house, which is like Media 24 now, if I'm not mistaken. So like, if they're being sued, and like, for the fact that even like now as we speak, the book is withdrawn off the shelves, you can't buy the book. But if like the Madala side, or shady ways of getting this book, you might get your hands on this book. But like, it's an expose like of a huge figures. And like, there's people who came out who wanted to investigate the pedophilia scandals around this book. And there's even someone who commented and was giving like her perspective, because I can tell she's a white lady. She was saying something about theme section being boring and repetitive, and there was little new information into the actual story and her main objective was just to claim the sport. That there was just a lot being said, and this is within the book, guys. And I'm like, I think maybe we need to talk about this, and the fact that after Mark Minnie passed on, she said that to her sister, and her sister said that, and there's still a clip on YouTube, you can go out and listen to it, and you're like, usually this is what happens with everybody. The Jeffrey Epstein list, and I don't even trust what that list is like the legit list that implicated the right people. I'm not sure. Even the deposition, the script for the depositions, I'm not sure, because there's powerful people involved in A, B, and C, But yeah, what do you think about this, bro? Like, I think the name of the island, they did speak about it's an island somewhere in the Eastern Cape. Oh, it's the Algora Bay. Algora Bay is the name of that. It's Algora Bay, for those of you who want to follow up on the story. So the book is The Lost Boys of Bed Island. So do let me know. I haven't read the book. I don't think, this is not my type of book, so I won't read this book. So for those of you, if you're interested in this type of stuff, conspiracy, do give us an update in the comment section, or just comment, I do have an update, and we'll contact you and possibly have you as a guest if you want to in the podcast. And we won't be liable of anything that happens to you should things get blown out of proportion, and any comment that you make, you must also understand as a listener that any comment that any guest makes in this show, it's not on us, it's on them. So it's not the platform, the PCCSA, that PCCSA thing. I'm trying to bring it up, but I'm messing it up. But yeah, do understand that whichever individual that comes to the platform will say whatever. Those are not the comments for the platform, but they'll be solely speaking for themselves and not for the platform, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I wanted to say, and I think on tomorrow's episode, we are going to touch on the Golden Globes, which took place in Peacock in downtown Los Angeles. We're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about the Jonathan Majors case, of which he lost, so we need to talk about that as well. We need to talk about Young Starner as well. So he was throwing money. We're going to talk about the pothole. They say potholes have turned into dams in Johannesburg, I think because of the heavy rain. So we'll get to talk about that even tomorrow. So for those of you who haven't subscribed, please do that. And don't forget to follow, like, and comment to get a notification for each and every time we drop a new episode. And shout out to everybody. Shout out to the guys in Dubai. I know that there's new people who listen to the podcast in Internet. Shout out to them. Shout out to the people in Botswana. Shout out to the people in Zimbabwe. Shout out to the people in, what's the other place that I can do? Shout out to Zambia. Shout out to the US, is like the second biggest platform that listen to us. Shout out to the people in the US. Shout out to Kamwe as well in the US. Shout out to Polani, she was also in the US as well. I know he's one of the people that listen to the podcast. So shout out to you guys. And please do not forget to subscribe for the to get a notification each and every time we drop a new episode. I'm your host, the most, the Circle and Video Report, aka Shoot Your Shot, and maybe you might get a chance to call me Daddy like Cairo. Let's meet tomorrow on another amazing episode of Backroomconvo with Lesego M. Cheers!